Hey everyone, Keith McGinnis here, KCDC Designs out of Eagle, Nebraska. So I had this full countertop set, really turned out nice. Customers are absolutely going to love it. That's what I started with. It was about 72 total square feet, and by the time I got done, that's what it looked like. So let's get started. Going to buzz through this pretty quick, but we're using Stone Coat Countertop Epoxy as a 1-to-1 ratio. Mix in part A, mix in part B, and then I use my drill with a paddle mixer on it. And you always have to make sure that when you mix that you stir the sides, you scrape the sides and the bottom, put the paddle mixer back in there, stir it again, and then it's time to mix up some colors. I'm using white metallic, I'm using white pearl, and then also it's called Diamond Shimmer, which is really cool. This is just my undertone, so there's really no distinct pattern of how I want to get this put down. I just want to make sure that I'm using 3 ounces per square foot, and I want to make sure I get the board completely covered. And I'm just going to meld these colors in with my hand. I'm really not mixing that much. I just want to get all the dry areas filled. And then I'll take my torch and make sure we get all the bubbles torched out, which also helps to self-level the epoxy. Then I'm going to start running in kind of the flow of how the design is going to go. All these pieces I have in my studio are lined up exactly the way they're laid out in the kitchen. So I can make sure the flow is all going the same direction on all the pieces. That's the sample board that the customers chose, and that's what I'm going to try to replicate on 72 square feet of countertops. What I'm doing now is the customers wanted some charcoal kind of grays in there, so I'm using dark charcoal, which is a RustOleum gloss spray paint, dark charcoal, and also smoke gray, which is a lighter gray. And I'm just getting those put in, and then I'm going to use my fancy little tool here that you're going to hear me. That's my notched Bondo spreader. Now you can use a stir stick to do that, but the notched Bondo spreader just kind of makes quick work of it, or as Mitch Quist from Stone Coat calls it, a beard comb. That's my whiteboard, and you can see how I have my flow drawn out so I can make sure that I stay on track and I have everything going the right direction. Sometimes when you're standing over your pieces and you're working directly over the top of it, you can kind of get lost. So that way I can take a look at my whiteboard and make sure that I've got everything going in the right direction. I'm using my heat gun to soften the spray paint up a little bit, and now I'm using spray paint sprayed onto the stir stick, and I'm running in some accent veins. That's really what's going to stand out on this piece and really bring it to life, if you will. Once I get all of my colors layered in to those veins, then once again I'm going to take the heat gun and I'm going to manipulate that, and I'm going to move those a little bit left to right. I'm going to come down over the top, open them up, and you'll be able to see how much difference that makes by using the heat gun, painting with air, if you will. That's what it ends up looking like, and it's really, really pretty. That's a little bit more of a close-up. It's amazing. It truly is, amazes me. And so now I'm on to the bat wings, and that's what I'm doing here as well, is I'm getting my veins put in there, and then I'll use my heat gun to get those moved around. And interestingly, that center vein that I'm working on right now is really a happy accident, but I ended up getting it perfectly centered within that bat wing, and I'm glad I did. If it was off to the side one way or the other, I think it would have looked a little bit off, but it ended up, I got it perfectly centered, so it ended up looking pretty cool. And we'll do a flyover here, and you'll be able to see how that looks. Again, once I take the heat gun on it, but it's really, really a pretty vein. And it really added a lot and really took that whole countertop set to another level. And if you break it down, it's not a difficult design to create. For me, it's just wondering where I'm going to put the veins, but I still get really excited when I create these, as you can hear here. Oh, that looks really cool. Oh, I don't think I want to do anything with that. Yeah, a little bit more. That looks really cool. Again, it's not a difficult design to create or a technique, but it is time consuming. So I did break this up into 2 separate pours because I had a little over 72 square feet. So let's do a flyover and get some close-ups. Now, I'm always aware, here you can see the detail in those veins when you're up close and personal. I'm always aware of where these countertops are going to sit, and even what the customer is going to be sitting on the countertops. That right there is the focal point when you walk into the home. That's why I wanted to have that vein kind of coming over the corner especially if you're in the home, it's a very open concept and you're on the back side of that serving bar, just so you have kind of those wow factors in different places, I guess, on the countertop. It's even important to know where the customer is going to be setting their coffee pot, and maybe they have a microwave that's going to sit on the counter. Here's the vane that, again, this upper serving bar is going to be the main focal point, and that really, really turned out pretty. It was a happy accident, but I actually got that perfectly centered, kind of in that batwing shaped countertop. But that vane is really pretty. And then knowing the layout of the customer's home, again, this is the upper serving bar of that batwing shaped countertop. And this vane right here, as you walk in the front door, again, very, very open concept, but as you walk in the front door of their home, the first thing that you're going to see is this corner of that upper serving bar. So I really wanted to have some really cool detail, especially flowing over that corner. And that vane, that's really what's going to jump out to the customers and their friends and family as they walk in. And then this piece here is this is a desk that sits just a little bit lower than the piece to the right of it. And there's not going to be a whole lot that's going to be sitting on that desk. So here again, I knew this would be an area with nothing sitting on it. I really, really wanted to make that pop. And again, that's just those 4 or 5 spray paint colors that are put in there, and then the heat gun to kind of blow them out and move them around to make them look authentic. And I guess I get asked a lot of how do you know where to put the veins and how to run them. Just looking at pictures of natural stone, and this is kind of a replication, if you will, of a fantasy marble. I do know that veins are not going to make a 90-degree turn. So when I have a corner piece like this or an L-shaped piece like this, I've always want to be aware of that also to make it look natural and keep it looking natural. And all of my countertops I do for customers are going to receive the Ultimate Top Coat, which is a very, very hard finish and extremely durable. This customer chose the Ultimate Top Coat in the natural finish, which is more of a satin or a matte finish, if you will, and it really makes the colors pop. That's the product I'm using, Ultimate Top Coat Natural. I'm going to sand the surface with 220, use my red Scotch-Brite pad for my corners and my edges. That's the rest of what I'm going to use to apply it. So here we are doing a time lapse applying the Ultimate Top Coat Natural. And I should say we were able to get all of these pieces covered in one mix. And again, at 72 square feet, I mixed up a total of, I think it was close to 18 ounces of Ultimate Top Coat. And I apply it with I apply it wet with a wet roller. And then I'm very fortunate to have a helper who does the dry rolling for me, who goes over it one last time with the dry roller. And with only having an open time with the Ultimate Top Coat product of about 15 to 20 minutes, we were able to get all of these pieces covered in, I think it took us about 16, 17 minutes. And here again, I'm applying the product with a wet roller. I'm applying it wet, and then I back roll it one last time before Roger, my helper, goes over it with the dry roller. And you can see he's going to go over it just one time with the dry roller, and then that's it. And then we're going to walk out of the studio. I'm going to shut off the lights, and that's it. It turned out absolutely gorgeous. And I really think had the customer chosen the gloss finish, that the colors wouldn't pop as much because of the glare, and they wouldn't stand out as much. So now let's take a look at after we get this installed in the customer's home. Really, really turned out nice. That's the focal point. That's the area when people walk into the home of what they're going to see. Had that been a gloss, you would see a lot more reflection and you wouldn't see near as much color. There's that lower desk I was talking about, and we'll get a little bit of a close-up on that vane, but man, once it's installed, it really, really transformed that whole space with the colors that the customer has in the home. It really, really turned out nice. I can't thank you all enough for watching. I really appreciate you supporting my channel. Be sure and subscribe and hit that bell to be notified of upcoming tutorials. And once again, this is Keith McGinnis with KCDC Designs. Thanks again, everyone. Have a great day, and we'll see you on the next video.